I'd like to declare the Ordinary Council meeting of the 20th of February 2025 open. I'd like to welcome you all back to a new year. I look forward to another year of robust and active discussion and service to our community. Thanks for attending our electors meeting. Item 2, record of attendance, apologies, leave of absence. We have a leave of absence already applied and moved from Councillors Waite and Councillor Verhoot. Declarations of interest. Do I have any declarations, any financial declarations of interest? No. Do I have any closely associated persons and impartiality declarations? No. Do I have any proximity declarations? No. Item 4, response to previous public questions. Take on notice. There are none. Item 5, public question time. None. Item 6, no petitions, deputations, presentations, submissions. Item 7, applications for leave of absence for our next council meeting. No. Item 8, there are no announcements apart from welcoming you all back. Item 9, confirmation of minutes. And we have the ordinary meeting of council held on the Tuesday the 17th of December. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Foss. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Strange. All those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous. Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on Tuesday the 4th of February 2025. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Crooks. Seconder. Thanks, Councillor Hodgkiss. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you. And we have our special council meeting held on Tuesday the 4th of February 2025. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Mover. Thanks, Councillor Hodgkiss. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Strange. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 10. Matters for decision. Item 10.1, Manager of Works. Welcome, Mr. Stevens. Take away 10.1.1.
Thank you, Mr. President. This item seeks the council approval to commence the procurement process of a automated patching machine. There is a recommendation on page 9. Did you want me to read through it or any discussions?
Councillors have all read the item, but if you have any questions or comments for Mr. Stevens or our CEO, please feel free.
Happy to move it at this point.
Thanks, Councillor Strange. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Foss. Any speakers against? No. We have a...
Through the Chair, can I just bring to the attention of Council, under the officer's recommendations, it is requesting approval for a budget amendment, but it is subject to an item that follows later. So therefore, that's why that point 3 is in there, because budget review item has not been considered yet, hence why a budget amendment is actually written into subject to review into plant reserve.
Thank you, Mr. Furr. So we do have a recommendation. Oh, Councillor Crooks.
Yeah, just through the Chair, Greg, I don't think I've read it anywhere. Do we just have to take what make truck we get, or do we get a preference?
At this stage, the truck they've got is a Isuzu, I think. Yeah, because that's the one they've got. The issue was purchasing the truck and building the unit was hard to get the both matches. They've indicated that they've got a truck there they can get their hands on. It's being saved, it's in Brisbane, but that's where they build the machine. They said they've got a truck there ready to go to put this unit on if we can get that and that. If we look for like a Volvo, which is more expensive, the price is going to go up. Shire of Corrigan have got the Isuzu truck, and they're quite happy with it. The one that we had here was Volvo for the hired vehicle. That was still a good truck, but it's just the pricing of the truck. This is a the truck that they've indicated is a good truck. It's worth its the price it's with, and a lot of shires have got them, so I think it's.
So it doesn't
a good
affect the quality of the
opportunity.
work, basically, the brand of truck.
And through the chair, I'd also like to add to that is that whilst there has been a lot of conversation regarding our roads and our priorities towards our roads and improvements in our infrastructure, this item, it is about undertaking a full procurement process, which does require us to go out to market. It is over the $250,000 threshold, and therefore, in accordance with our compliances, we will be required to get quotes and information and provide opportunity for other tenderers to tender for this, not discounting the fact that we have quite naturally undertaken our own research into what's working. Because we have hired an item, we will have a very transparent, fully compliant procurement process undertaken to secure that asset, if approved.
We have an officer's recommendation that Councillor Strange has moved, that we approve the commencement of the procurement process, that we authorise the Chief Executive Officer to proceed with the necessary steps, and that we approve the budget amendment. So, all those in favour? Thank you, it's unanimous. Thank you, Mr Stevens.
So do you want me to leave now? Or
You can stay.
We're on to
Okay.
finance, I think.
Finance, we'll give
Okay.
Mr Darby.
well, good. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, Mr Darby. When you're ready to roll, you can take away your item 10.2.1, scheduled accounts paid.
Thank you, Mr. President. The list of payments has been prepared and presented for your perusal. If anybody has any questions.
I might just add a couple, if any councillors don't. I just have a couple.
I was inquiring about moving, getting a mover.
Before we go to some queries, do I have a mover and a seconder for the list of payments for December 24 to January 25? Would someone like to move? Thanks, Councillor Cook. Second, thanks, Councillor Foss. I have some questions. Just a little bit of expansion, just on there's a couple of items. One was number 64, the repair of the roof at the caretakers for $9,999. Just if that was a damaged thing, or that's just scheduled maintenance. Or?
It was in the capital works. It was the replacement of the roof because the existing roof leaked.
So no insurance thing like that. It's just wear and tear.
Just wear and tear.
Thank you. And then another was number 106. It was hire of the horticulturist. $8,190.96. Just
Okay,
wondering if that was a one-off thing, or if that's just a...
That's quite a high amount because it's actually 5 weeks either side of Christmas for the contract horticulturist that we're currently employing. I think there was a 5-week period in one payment due to their shutdown and our shutdown.
All right, thanks very much.
And through the chair, that's just to elaborate on that. That is acquiring that skill set through a labour hire company. That's why it attracts different requirements, and subject to that contract finishing, there is an opportunity for us to employ that individual. Sometimes when it's difficult to get roles, you can go to labour hire and establish contracts there. It does attract extra cost, but at the same time, if that person becomes a permanent employee of the Shire, there is a cost to the labour hire company that would be paid as a commission.
And again, just through the chair, obviously, we don't have to pay super, it's literally, that's what we pay for you. The only overheads would be obviously admin.
Yeah, just clarifying, it was basically 2 months almost.
Mhm.
Thank you. Any other questions or queries for payments? If not, we have a recommendation. All those in favour? Thank you, it's unanimous. 10.2.1, monthly financial reports. Would you like to speak to it, or?
So the monthly financial reports for both December and January are presented. One thing that does stand out in the receivables on page 8, I believe it is. Sorry, page 7. With the rates, the budgeted amount, apologies, by nature on page 2, the year-to-date budget is moving month to month because the rates income was not phased at all. It was just the 1 month when it was set, but the discount was phased over the 12 months rather than over the month the rates were struck and the month after when they should have been phased.
Yep.
So that's why that figure is changing.
So through the chair, as you can see here, you have an adopted budget, and actually the year-to-date budget, which I mentioned before in previous regarding the phasing, is actually higher than what the adopted budget is. And so you've got an amount, a year-to-date actual, that is higher than what the adopted budget was, because the discounting is phased over 12 months and the others is one as Manager Finance has just mentioned. And that's why that's creating that anomaly when you're looking at it, where there's an $18,000 undervariance because the discount hasn't been fully applied. And that is something that, when you're looking through the reports, would be something that we would pick up, or I would raise as a councillor. But it's purely and simply because with the rates, the discount that is applied as well for people that pay early, and because it's phased over 12 months when it should have been just a one-off or the first 2 months, that is why you're getting that variance that shows up on that report.
So every month it'll go down, the variance will become
So
smaller.
eventually you'll see that variance
Becomes zero.
decrease.
Yeah, through the chair, that's something we will remedy for the coming budget.
Okay, thank you. If there's no questions, other questions or queries? Would someone like to move, adopt the budget? Someone like to move the item? Thanks, Councillor Foss. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Hodgkiss. All those in favour? We've gone on. Not too far.
No, you got budget review.
2.3, budget review.
Go for a second.
Mr Darby.
The very comprehensive budget review is presented for your for your perusal. Obviously, it comes back to a zero balanced budget. The biggest thing was fixing the shortfall from the budgeted closing figure to the actual closing figure from the previous budget of $215,500. Which has been achieved through various savings. There are other greater expenses recognised within it as well.
All right, we have a recommendation to adopt the budget review. Someone like to move that we adopt the budget review? Thanks, Councillor Cook. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Strange. Is there any questions or queries for Mr. Darby?
Through the chair, if I could be permitted just to make a few more comments to go through this. It is quite a significant review that's been undertaken, addressing a significant variation in the first instance. Normally, when we undertake a budget review, we'll be looking for larger ticket items as a value, but based on the variation in our annual financials, the executive team has sat around the table and actually worked our way through all of the schedules that basically sit behind the finance report that you approve on a monthly basis. It's important to convey to council that as part of this process, there was also increases in expenditure that was required. So it was a balanced process that included having to put more money into account codes, GLs, as well as looking for opportunities to actually reduce the expenditure or increase revenue, etc. So a very balanced process. And it worked out there's around about 96 line items there across both operational and capital items. And 2/3 was about increasing available cash, and 1/3 of those transactions were about decreasing or increasing our expenditure. How did we get to a position where we were able to get back to a balanced budget? Opportunities, we've gone through the capital projects tracker, and with the LRCEP Phase 4 grant funding situation whereby with the playground likely not happening through the Lottery West grant application not being ready, request for variation to this funding has enabled us to look closely at the capital projects tracker and replace out municipal contributions with LRCEP contributions replacing that. So, for example, the heat map, the heat mat for the aquatic centre has $90,000 of municipal at the moment. There is an opportunity, and that variation is subject to approval by LRCEP, but subject to that approval, that will remove the $90,000 municipal liability and be replaced with grant funding. So you've got some big ticket funding items that has enabled us to get to a point whereby 140,000 in the capex tracker, the heat map plus the other project, which the gravel sheeting program, we have in discussions with the works and services manager, has been able to utilise other funding to ensure that that program is delivered, and therefore rescinds the necessity for that $100,000 municipal cost. We have had the purchase of the sign truck was significantly under what we budgeted, and again $52,000 saved and through that completed transaction. So all of these are examples of savings that we've been able to achieve. Equally, we have put more items, for example, we've increased our consultancy costs by $45,000 in one particular area in support of the finance department. So a balanced viewpoint that brings us back to zero. Important to note the very last line, we are still awaiting approval for the LRCEP work schedule variation. We expect that to be approved based on the conversations and interactions that we've been having, and as a consequence that will create a transfer to plant reserve number of 199,196. Subject to that work variation not being approved, and again I will state on record that that's unlikely at this time, it will amend the transfer to reserve to 59,196. Either way, the administration will be, through this review, balancing the budget. Okay, and I'm happy to take, alongside the Manager of Finance, any more questions regarding the points that I've just raised here. Once this is accepted, if this is accepted by Council, we would then go back in for next month and we would subsequently resubmit this amended budget to DLGSC in accordance with guidelines. And subsequently, you will see in the second column of the finance report the new revised amended budget, and subsequently the capital projects tracker would be amended to reflect grant funding, etc., and projects that are in or out.
Any questions, comments, councillors?
Through the chair, just one question, and yeah, enormous amount of work's gone into this and really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone feels much the same, but it was about the converted dolly. I thought Mr Stevens made a comment that we may be okay for another year with some repairs. Whether that was an item that you mentioned before, Mr Furr, about there's a bit of fat in there. We can perhaps leave that and see what happens.
Through the chair, absolutely, and this review reflects that. In that there was discussions. It was in capex for a spend of 32,000. In discussions with the manager of works and services, that purchase of a converter dolly is now removed from the spreadsheet, or recommended, and that then increases our available cash by 32,000 as reflected here.
Any other questions, comments? So I have one just about the locum, relief for doctor, because that's a significant decrease. Because obviously locums are very expensive at the moment, so I mean that corresponds to not even 2 weeks of a locum, that amount that you budget for. So it's more just, I assume you've consulted with the practice manager and...
Through the chair, I think that's a really good pickup. Locum predominantly is used through the practice over the Christmas period and January. And in discussions with both the executive team and practice manager, that is where most of the cost that is budgeted for is incurred, and therefore, and coupled with the ongoing continuous struggle, there is a level of confidence amongst the executive based on conversations that I had with practice manager at Christmas time, and the fact that we couldn't achieve a locum, therefore there was surplus funds in there. I am keen to stress that this budget review, whilst comprehensive, Council, it does also, there is other opportunities if there was any additional cost. It still has a flexibility. I attest that to the salaries and wages. We have not touched the salaries and wages for two reasons. The subsequent IE increase on some of our works and services crew, which incurred costs. We do have savings up to this point in time to the tune of around about $170,000 according to our finances. However, we don't know what happens going forward. We are a soft restructure with consultants, and also we're about to move into a budget phase, and there was quite a bit of work for us to do in that particular space, which may require some extra consultancy. So we took the decision to leave those savings and not reflect more. However, that doesn't mean that we can't, through the remaining months, put in other budget amendments either way, plus or minus, to adjust accordingly.
Just for me, just philosophy, so obviously there's a difference between we can't get a locum to we're choosing not to get a locum. For that, I understand that period I was there, so...
Through the chair, no, that's not my point. My point is that over Christmas, yes, the money was there for the locum. That money, that position wasn't realised. Therefore, there's a saving there which has been reflected in the review.
All right, thank you. All right, we have a motion to move the budget review to... all those in favour? Thank you, it's unanimous. Item 10.4. Thank you, Mr Darby. Item 10.4, in the absence of Ms Ugarte, Mr Furr will speak for the Manager of Governance and Community Services. Item 10.4.1, the Shire Seal.
Thank you, Mr. President. A relatively straightforward item presented to Council, just to reflect the use of the seal in both the months December 2024 and February 2025. The use of that seal was associated with a lease agreement for 9111 Swan Street, Bruce Rock, and the transfer of land, lots of 439, 440, 430 Dampier Street, Bruce Rock, to Pundit Proprietary Limited. I'll take any questions as well.
No, we have a recommendation. Would someone like to move use of the Shire seal? Thanks, Councillor Strange. Seconder. Thanks, Councillor Foss. All those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous. Item 10.4.2, Barefoot Bowls sponsorship request.
Through the Chair, a request from Barefoot Bowls sponsorship in accordance with our policy, attachment 1, requesting a $120 voucher to be used at the Bruce Rock District Club. The event's being organised in collaboration with CRC. A straightforward request, and happy to take questions from Council, confirming that there are funds available to cover the cost of this request if Council deems fit.
No, we have a recommendation. Would someone like to move that? Thanks. Councillor Foss. Would like to speak against it? No? Would you like to second it? Thanks. Councillor Strange. All those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous. Item 10.5, a report from Chief Executive Officer. You have none. Thank you. Item 11, new business of urgent nature. There is none. Item 12.1. I move that the meeting be closed to members of the public for this item in accordance with section 5.2.3, subsection 2C, as well as subsections 2E, 2 and 3, as a matter relates to a contract that may be entered into by the Shire and is a matter that, if disclosed, would reveal information that has a commercial value to a person and information about the business, professional, commercial or financial affairs of a person. Do I have a mover to close the meeting? Thank you, Councillor Foss. A seconder. Thank you, Councillor Strange. All those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous. Would someone like to move us out from behind closed doors? Thanks, Councillor Foss. Thank you, Councillor Strange. Second. All those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous. We have a recommendation first, I guess, that we...
With regards to revoking.
Yeah, revoking
Yeah,
that.
happy to move that
Thank
one.
you. Thanks, Councillor Strange. Thanks, Councillor Hodgkiss. All those in favour? Thank you. We have a recommendation that, subsequent to considering it, that we resolve to reconsider the revocation. Do I have a mover for that one? Up to you. Thank you, Councillor Crooks. Seconder. Thanks, Councillor Foss. All those in favour?
Through the Chair, we will need to just adjust the recommendation for Part 3 of 3 to reflect that I'm being authorised to negotiate a rental lease agreement for 1 year, and to subject to the development of our leases register and subsequent policy to ensure continuity. So we just need to adjust point 1 to negotiate a new rental lease agreement of 1 year. With Elders Rural Services Australia, so deleting the rest of there. Subject to a review in 2025-26. Subject to review in 25-26 of all Shire tenancy agreements. Is
Sounds,
okay with that?
Yeah.
all right.
We have a motion there. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Strange. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Crook. All those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous. As we move along. I'd like to close the meeting. Thank you all for your attendance. Close it at 4:13. Thanks, Sharon.